You've ever been curious to how accurate the plants are growing in Stardew Valley, this video is for you. I'll be ranking all the vegetables and some of the fruits throughout the 4 seasons and grading them on an A through F grading scale. I'll be giving each season an average score and then a score for the overall game as well. Let's find out which crops are accurate, which are kind of questionable, and some that just do not make any sense whatsoever. In this video, I'm only going to be covering vegetables and fruit crops, not flowers, forage plants, or plants grown in the greenhouse, or plants from the island. Those will be in a separate video later on. So you might be asking yourself, who are you? And how do you know so much about this that you can actually teach us about plants? Well, I teach people about plants every single day as my job, and I'm a plant master, and I have like 200 hours or more playing Stardew Valley. So I'm meshing the two together to give you this cool video. Now, there's something to understand before we dig in and start ranking these crops, and that is what real place most mimics Stardew Valley in real life. So I did a little bit of digging around on the internet and doing some research, and I found this place in Washington State called Granite Falls, and I thought that it was a pretty darn good match. Granite Falls is a small town. It is about 30 minutes from the beach. It also has 4 seasons like Stardew Valley does. Granite Falls, Washington has a USDA hardiness zone of 8A. This means that its average annual extreme minimum temperature is 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit, which is pretty mild winter comparatively to other places in the world. This determines the first and the last frost date of the year, which gardeners use to plant crops so they know when to grow things. The last frost date in the spring for Granite Falls, Washington, which is our comparing Stardew Valley town, is around mid-March, and the frost date in the fall is in mid-November. Both of these are key pieces of information that will determine whether or not these crops are actually fit the planting schedule that Stardew Valley has laid out for us. If you played Stardew before, you know that Stardew Valley is divided up into 4 seasons: spring, summer, fall, and winter, with the primary growing seasons being spring, summer, and fall. So in order to calculate game days to like real life crop season time, we have to do some math. And each crop has a season and a fixed grow time in game days, which is 28 days per season. Since Stardew Valley season is about 4 weeks, that is around 1/3 of the time in real life of an average growing season, making each week of game time around a month of in real life growing time. The main questions I'll be asking to determine the accuracy of each crop are these crops grown during the accurate season? How long do they take to mature? Amount of harvest per plant? Are they harvested during the right season? And could these be grown in Granite Falls? So let's dig in, no pun intended. Okay, first up is spring. Okay, first up is the parsnip, which is likely the first plant that you're going to get in Stardew Valley because they give them to you. Anywho, parsnips take 4 days to grow, and they are a single harvest plant. In real life, in Granite Falls, parsnips are planted in late winter and early spring, and they take around 100 to 120 days to mature, so pretty long time. Because of this, I gave them a C rating. Next up is the bean. So beans in Stardew Valley take 10 game days to grow, and you can get another harvest from them every 3 days. In Granite Falls, beans are planted in the early spring, and they take around 60 to 70 days to mature. I thought bean was pretty accurate, so bean gets the first A of my ranking system. Next up is cauliflower, which takes 12 game days to grow and is a single harvest plant. In Granite Falls, cauliflower is planted in late winter and early spring and takes up to 80 days to mature. I decided to give cauliflower a B. I thought it was pretty accurate. However, I think that cauliflower takes a bit longer in real life than it does in Stardew Valley, so that's why I gave it a B. Next is the potato, which takes 6 game days to grow and is a single harvest plant. In Granite Falls, potato is planted in late winter and early spring and takes around 70 to 100 days to mature. And with that, I gave the potato a B. Kale takes 6 game days to grow and is a single harvest plant. In Granite Falls, kale is planted in the fall or the spring and takes around 60 days to mature. For this, I gave kale a C because I thought it would be cool if you could also plant kale in the fall. Strawberries take 8 game days to grow, and you can harvest another strawberry every 4 days. Whereas in Granite Falls, strawberries are planted in early spring and they're perennial, which means they come back year after year and they don't just die at like the end of the season. Now, you may get multiple harvests per year depending on the variety, but you're definitely going to get like more than one strawberry per plant. And I gave strawberries a C. Rhubarb takes 13 game days to grow and is a one-time harvest. Granite Falls, another perennial. So it takes a couple years to establish, and then you harvest it in the spring. But it lives year after year. I gave rhubarb a B. Carrots take 3 game days to grow, and they're a one-time harvest. Whereas in Granite Falls, carrots are planted in late winter or early spring, and they take around 60 to 80 days to mature. And I gave carrot a B. Next up is garlic, which takes 4 game days to grow and is a one-time harvest. In real life, garlic is planted in late fall and early winter, and it's not harvested until the summer. For these reasons, I gave garlic a D. So the overall score for spring is a B, and I didn't think it was that bad. I thought there were some pretty accurate crops and then some of them that weren't so good. So starting off, B, not that bad. Okay, next up is summer. First up is melon, which takes 12 game days to grow and is a one-time harvest. In real life, melons are planted in late spring to early summer and take around 70 to 90 days to mature. I gave melon a C. I thought they probably just needed a little bit more time in game to grow in order to get a higher score. Next up is tomato, which takes 11 game days to grow and you can harvest every 4 days. In real life, tomatoes are planted in late spring to early summer and take around 60 to 80 days to mature. I thought the game nailed it for tomato, so they get an A. Okay, blueberries. 13 game days to grow, harvest every 4 days. But here's the thing about blueberries. They're actually like fruit bushes that are perennial. And we plant them and then you usually get blueberries in like 4 to 6 years. So, and you also harvest them during the spring months. So I did not think that this one was super accurate. So it gets an F. Don't come at me. Okay, peppers, 5 game days to grow, harvest every 3 days. In real life, peppers are planted in late spring and early summer, and you can harvest them during summer and fall, and you can get multiple harvests per plant. I thought this was accurate, so I gave pepper an A. Wheat takes 4 game days to grow and is a one-time harvest. In real life, wheat is planted in mid-spring and harvested in the late summer. Thought this was pretty average, so I gave wheat a C. Radishes take 6 game days to grow and are a one-time harvest. However, in Granite Falls, radishes can be grown fall and into winter and also planted in the spring. They take around 30 days to grow, but they are not grown in the summer at all. It's way too hot in the summertime for them, so for that reason, I gave them a D. Next up is corn, which takes 14 game days to grow, and you can harvest it every 4 days. In Granite Falls, corn is planted in early spring and is harvested after 80 to 100 days. I also thought this one was pretty average, so I gave it a C. Red cabbage is 9 game days to grow and is a one-time harvest. Granite Falls, cabbage is planted in late winter, early spring, or in late summer to early fall and can take up to 160 days to mature. I also thought this was pretty average, so red cabbage gets a C. Hops take 11 game days to grow, and you can harvest them every day. So in Granite Falls, you can plant these in early spring and harvest during summer, and you harvest them pretty frequently. I thought the game got this right, so I'm giving them a solid B. Summer squash takes 4 game days to grow, and you can harvest it every 3 days. Whereas in real life, you can plant squash in early summer and it matures in 40 to 50 days with frequent harvest. I thought this one was pretty accurate, so I gave summer squash a B. Okay, starfruit. 13 game days to grow, one-time harvest. Whereas in real life in Granite Falls, starfruit can be grown as a fruit tree. However, it takes like 2 to 3 years to produce like one fruit, and it's not common. You don't normally grow starfruit in this sort of environment. So for that reason, I gave starfruit an F. Okay, our summer crop roundup gets a C. Can the fall crops redeem Stardew Valley? We will see. Starting with artichoke, which takes 8 game days to grow and is a one-time harvest. Granite Falls, artichokes can be planted in the fall and spring. and are perennial, which means they come back every year. Usually you can get like 1 to 2 large artichokes per year. You can harvest in late summer to early fall. So because artichokes are perennial and you can usually get more than one artichoke per plant, I gave artichoke a D. Beets take 6 game days to grow and are a one-time harvest. In Granite Falls, beets can be planted in the spring or fall and take about 60 days to mature. Beet gets a B. Bok choy takes 4 game days to grow, one-time harvest. Granite Falls, bok choy can be planted in the spring and fall and takes around 60 days to mature. Also thought this one was pretty accurate, so I gave it a B as well. Next up is broccoli, which takes 8 game days to grow and you can harvest it every 4 days. Broccoli in real life can be planted in late winter and early spring or in late summer and early fall and takes around 60 to 80 days to mature. Usually you can't get more than one broccoli head per broccoli plant. You might get like some little baby ones, so it's not really like a repeat harvested plant. However, due to a decently accurate growing time, I did give broccoli a C. Cranberries take 7 game days to grow and you can harvest them every 5 days. In Granite Falls, cranberries are technically another fruit shrub, like a blueberry, and they need a couple of years to get a decent harvest. You can harvest them in the fall, however, but in Granite Falls, if we're comparing it to Stardew Valley, it's just a little bit too warm for cranberries to do well. And so for this reason, I gave cranberry a D. Eggplant takes 5 game days to grow, and you can harvest it every 5 days. In Granite Falls, eggplant can be planted in late spring and early summer and takes around 60 to 90 days to harvest. I thought this one was pretty good, so I gave it a B. Okay, grapes take 10 game days to grow and you can harvest them every 3 days. This is another one of those like bush/vine fruits in real life. Grapes need 2 to 4 years to actually get a good harvest. However, you can harvest them in the fall. So for these reasons, grapes, they get a C for me. And pumpkins, 13 game days to grow, and they are a one-time harvest plant. In Granite Falls, pumpkins are planted in early summer, but they take over 100 days to harvest, which is a pretty long time. However, I did think that the pumpkins were pretty accurate on Stardew Valley, and they're my favorite thing to grow, so I gave them a C. Okay, now for our last plant in fall, which is the yam. Takes 10 game days to grow and is a one-time harvest. In Granite Falls, yams, depending on the variety, can take around 6 to 9 months to grow, and you harvest them in the fall. So because they take such a long time to grow in real life and a relatively short time to grow on the game, I gave yams a D. So for fall, I gave fall a C. We had 3 C's, 3 B's, and 3 D's. Overall, I thought it was okay. So I gave fall a solid C. Okay, what about winter? Well, the primary growing seasons for Stardew Valley are spring, summer, and fall, and you can't grow anything in winter except for the powder melon, which doesn't actually exist in real life, so I didn't give it a score. So I only gave a score for spring, summer, and fall. Okay, the overall score for Stardew Valley crop accuracy is a B minus. So I gave the game a little bit of slack because it is a game and it's really fun. It's one of my favorite games. So even though fall and summer were both C's and spring was a B, I gave them a B minus. Okay, let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Did any of the crops surprise you, or did you even think about such things? I might be the only one here. Anyways, please like and subscribe, and thank you guys so much for watching.